Hey everybody, what's up? Chad Wesley Smith here for Juggernaut Training Systems, and we're bringing you another episode today of Squat School, where we're going to break down athletes' technique, help them find fixes, whether that's movement prep drills or different accessory work and programming ideas that they can apply to their training, and show you that whole process, sort of our assessment and coaching process. So I'm joined by Juggernaut head weightlifting coach, magnificent Max Ada, and our special guest today, Miss Jackie Perez. Jackie, how you doing?
Good.
All right.
Good.
So, Jackie, do you have anything in particular that you've been struggling with in your squat?
I've just been stuck at the same weight for a really long time. I get to a certain weight and it just breaks. I cannot get past it.
So we're kind of just going to watch Jackie squat, see what's going on there, and then coach things as we see them. Go for it. All right, so Jackie's worked up to about 80% here, and that's normally a good weight, somewhere 70 to 85% to really assess technique effectively. If the weights are too light, it's easy to look really good. If the weights become too heavy, the athlete probably can't focus at all on their technique, and all their mind just goes to the weight on the bar and trying to lift it any way they can. So this is a good weight to both evaluate, assess technique, and develop technique once we've identified what's going on. And the first thing that jumped out to me about Jackie's squat is about the pressure in your foot. You know, you're having this problem, and I'm sure it gets worse as the weight goes up, but you hit the hole, your knees shift backwards and your hips rise without your shoulders moving. Yeah, that's a good assessment of what, if you were up to 220, 230, what would be happening. So yeah, that really happens for one of two reasons. It can be that you have strong legs and a weaker back, and your back is not strong enough to hold the angle, or what is more likely the case for you is that you have weak legs relative to a stronger back. So you hit the hole, and your body's reaction is to try and shift the weight to the stronger muscles, hamstrings, glutes, low back, your stronger muscles, but it's in a bad position for those muscles to really lift the weight. So you end up getting like this, tabletop kind of here, and now you're trying to good morning all the way from down here, and you just don't have enough energy in your back to make that happen. So the first thing that we need to do to start addressing that is to fix the pressure in your foot. And we'll Max talk about that.
Well, yeah, there's the two ways you're going to work on it are, like Chad's saying, there's a strength imbalance, but there's also like a little skill component. Mm-hmm. And in your squats, kind of, you could use the word disjointed. You have like one thing moves and then another kind of takes over. And so changing the pressure on your foot, what we're going to do now is going to help you align yourself so that you can use the right muscles initially. And then at the same time, the cues we give and a lot of stuff we're going to tell you to do is going to really help you coordinate the movement. So the first thing is where you put your pressure when you set up to squat. One thing you can watch when we watch you squat is you stand up and you readjust your balance every time at the top. So you come up, you're way back here, then you kind of reset, then you squat, you come up. So you're a little bit too far back on your heel. When you set up, when you pick the bar up, you walk out, you stand up, take some of that pressure off your heel and push your big toe into the ground, little pinky toe, and heel all at the same time. You almost want to think that pressure is just in front of the shin. So it's not, So not on the toes. We're not falling over. We want to be in a place where if you have is that the ball of your foot right here? Right here is going to be pressure. There's always going to be pressure on this part of the foot. Then your hips start where you need them, right? So your hips can't be directly under you. They got to be set back a tiny bit and then hold that position. This angle in your back now is set and you hold that and then you squat, keeping the pressure down here. So you descend, knees come forward, and then push from there again.
Right. So let's go ahead and do another set with really the only thing to think about in this set, because we don't want to throw 5 different things at you to think about on every set. So on this one, just walk out, sit up. Before you descend, push your big toe into the ground. Feel that pressure a little bit. You'll probably feel very forward because you're used to feeling backwards, but it's this subtle of a move. Right now you're here. We want you to be here. Here to here. So it's not some drastic adjustment. You just need to press your big toe down, feel that pressure, and try and maintain that pressure as well as you can. So let's do another double here.
Find your balance, big toe down. There you go. Yes.
Okay, keep it on the big toe as you come out of the hole.
Toes down, push. Yeah.
Yeah, so the tipping forward feeling and people feeling like they're way forward is just kind of because it's a new thing for you.
Yeah.
So your torso angle actually didn't change to a more forward angle while you were squatting as much as it did in the previous set. So, and that's what we want to achieve, is we want to have a very constant torso angle throughout. And particularly, with CrossFit being your main kind of endeavor, high bar squatting is really all that, high bar squatting and front squatting is all that's going to come into play for you.
Yeah.
The low bar squat, of course, you're going to have to be leaning forward more, but with any of the squats, we're looking to have a constant torso angle. So what you did, you were definitely better on the way down with that. Your upper body didn't tip forward. Like you feel like you're really forward just because it's different, but watching it, that's not a concern as long as you have the ankle mobility. This is a really important part of this cue, because we'll always tell people put the pressure towards the front of their foot, because there's been so much squat coaching for a long time of like sit back, weight on your heels. That we kind of have to counter that and maybe overcorrect it sometimes. But the pressure can go as far forward in your foot, and your knee can come forward with that as long as your ankle mobility will allow for it. So if you were going forward and your heel was coming off the ground, then that would be too much forward foot pressure, too much forward knee movement. So on the way down, I think pretty good position, more or less. Still, the first move out of the hole was weight rolling back in the foot and the knee coming back with that a little bit. So go ahead and do a just air squat for me and stop at the bottom. So this position with the knee, this most forward position, if we can maintain this forward knee position as you begin to stand up, you're going to be able to use your quads a lot more effectively. So what's happening right now is you start standing up, and that happens, hips rise, shoulders in. If you keep your knee against my hand as you start to stand up, now the legs can work a lot better. And it's not that the quads are more important than the hips or back. It's that they're all important, but the timing that we use them, and that's what Max is talking about, kind of smoothing the movement out and letting you use all the muscles and a bit more synergistic effort to lift the most weight possible. So as you hit the hole and then come out of the hole on this next set that we do, you got to really emphasize maintaining the big toe pressure and keeping the knee forward out of the hole. So the knee stays forward, and we're standing. It's all up and down, no forward and backward.
Put down hard.
I just feel like my quads don't have any.
There's not a lot of power.
Yeah, they don't know where to find power from. They're just so used to.
The speed of the movement's going to change a lot, because for one, now you're using your legs a lot more and you haven't in the past.
Yeah.
So normally when you squat this, it's fast and your hips come up and you lift it easily. Yeah. And that works really well with light weights because your back is strong enough to move them. As soon as the weight gets heavy, you probably come up, your hips come up, and that's it. Yeah. You just can't fight with it.
Yeah.
Because when you need to utilize all the muscles together to lift the heaviest weight possible, your quads are out of it because your hips came up.
Yeah,
right?
Quads are out of position to work.
So in a case where it feels dramatically different for somebody, when they switch a little bit, it's going to be pronounced because now the muscles you don't normally use are doing a lot more of the work, and that's just going to be slow because they're not strong yet, right?
Yeah, and that's really the only technique thing that's really jumping out to me is the foot pressure issue. Maybe a little bit of pelvic rotation and pelvic position before you descend, but a lot of that would come with the idea of if you were initiating your squat by sitting back as the first move, which I think by just putting the pressure on your big toe and trying to maintain that, it's going to mitigate the ability to sit back. Like I can't have the pressure on my big toe, maintain it, and sit back. Like the two are mutually exclusive. So as long as we're maintaining big toe pressure, it necessitates that you sit down, like sit straight down into the squat. So I think if we can, that technical correction is going to go a long way for you. And then it comes to the next point of that, like, okay, well, the technique is fixed. So now we got to fix the strength part of things as well. Yeah. Because your back has been doing so much more of the work, your back is just relatively strong compared to your legs. and we're have some technique and some program fixes that are going to address that. So let's maybe do one more set of this, and then we'll get into some of that accessory work to help address those issues.
Just a little tighter before you hit the bottom. You're ready to stand up. Push. Yeah. Much better. Much better. So there's like technique, which is what you're trying to do. Well, there's technique, what you do. There's strength, what you can't control. That's just how strong you are. The tissue takes over. And then there's intent and what you're attempting to do. At the bottom, when you get to the bottom of the squat, the goal in your mind is to be like preemptive. Is that when you get to the bottom, as you get closer to the bottom, you're anticipating that you're going to hit the bottom, and you tense everything up, and you are aggressive to drive into the floor. And that's kind of what we're talking about with when I say like pushing the ground and anticipate and expect it, where we want you to be ready to turn on and fire those muscles so that when you actually get to that point, you're firing the quads, you're pushing the ground, and then the bar's going to move, right? So it's not so much the technique is this, it's just what we want you to think.
Yeah.
You know, that the intent is to go aggressively pushing the ground.
Okay, and I also feel like I break, like, if it was a little bit heavier, I would break here for sure. Like, I get in trouble, and then I'm like, ugh,
right.
And then I just feel like I'm going to lose it forward. So I don't know if it's bracing that I'm not, like, keeping. Cause
I think there's two things going on. One is that you get to the bottom, and when you try to push, and you give it 100%, but there's not quite enough from the legs. So you try to brace you sort of try to strengthen your back up because it's going to take the load. So right off the bat, you arch.
Yeah.
And that does two things. One, it does stabilize your back a little bit and make it stronger and feel less difficult, but it also pulls your hips out of the movement, and it is not a strong position in general, so you can't use your legs anymore, right? Bracing, for sure, the breathing stuff we go over, and that will help you to maintain that position. And then developing leg strength, making your quads stronger, is going to prevent you from wanting to go to that place, right?
And the first thing I want you to do is make a quick, forceful exhale. And with that, your ribs should come down. Your low back should kind of flatten against the floor. Good. And now use your hamstrings a little bit to rotate your hip about an inch off the ground. All right. Now, maintaining this position throughout the rest of the time, breathe as big in through your nose as possible. Trying to fill
your
up.
belly.
Yeah, fill up, and hold. Now, long, forceful exhale through the mouth, like you're blowing up a balloon. More.
Keep going.
Hold. A big air in through the nose. More. Here. Tight. More. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Big air in through the nose. More. Here, less in the chest. Exhale. So on this next one, as you breathe in, I want you to think about the air coming into your back, then your belly, then your chest. So feel the pressure increase between your back and the floor. So big air in, more, as much as you can.
There you go.
Exhale. We'll get one more like that. All right, big air in, fill up.
Breathe into your stomach and your back.
Now hold. Exhale. Good, all right, good, stand up.
I was definitely doing that wrong. This whole time.
You can see as you go, the first round, it's,
Yeah, I felt
and
it.
then it gets better and better where you start to breathe in.
I couldn't even find out, and then I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Oh, okay.
Right.
So what we're trying to teach in 90-90 breathing is, if you were to imagine your body was like a water balloon, and it's filling up, and if you fill up a water balloon on the faucet, you're a little kid, water comes in the bottom and it gets wider and then fills up towards the top. And that's what we want to achieve here. So as you're going to take your air in before you begin to squat, we need to create that neutral hip position, because this, the hips way back is breaking that position. So if we thought of like an empty soda can sitting on the table and you're trying to smash that can down, it takes some pretty good force. But we put a dent in the side of the can, same material and everything, it'll smash right away. So that dent in the can is that hip back extended position. So we want to fill up and brace that neutral intact can position. So right before you descend, you're going to flex your glutes hard, put your hips underneath you, and as you take the air in, think about it coming down and out, pushing out into your obliques. So as you're breathing there, with your hands on your obliques as you breathe in, try and push out to the side. So you want to make yourself as wide-waisted as possible.
Clearly, that's been working for us.
Yeah. I mean, it may be a hard concept, but you want to make yourself look as much like me during the squat as possible. That might not work out well for your Instagram followers, but hey, there's people who are into this sort of thing.
At the end of the workout, that's when you get the Instagram photos.
Yeah. So we'll do one more double here. You're going to find the pressure in your foot, and then you're going to flex your glutes and breathe in. Set that hard position, air pushed out through your obliques, and squat.
So, hold on. Back it again. So the one thing you did wrong, you just picked it up.
Yeah.
Right? This is the first chance you have to get all that everything set in your breathing, right? So before you pick it up, lock everything in, right? Do all this stuff, breathe in, brace first, then pick the way down.
Find your foot pressure.
Good. Nice.
Stay knee forward, knee forward.
Set.
Big toe, knee forward. Good. So positions wise, the second squat there, I thought looked really good.
Yeah.
Now I'd say a simple fix for everything else. There's a big difference between simple and easy. Because the simple fix is that your legs are weak, so you need to get your legs strong. That's going to be a lot of hard work to do that, but it's not some complicated equation of math and algorithms and whatnot. Yeah, it's simple. It's just going to be a shitload of work for your legs. So before we get into that, some front squatting and some belt squatting, I'll use the example of because Max had a really good point there about getting the tension before you unrack the bar, and something that Dr. Quinn showed me, and a steal from him, is go ahead and put your hands on the bar where you'll unrack. And we're going to try and set the air the same way that you did on the floor here. So pushing a little bit of tension into the bar with your arms, which is going to help you brace a little bit. So you're here and you're just going to be, that's going to set your ribs.
Okay.
Yeah, so quick forceful exhale sets the ribs down. Now fill up that position the same way. Now duck under and get set.
Very good.
And then, so I let it out there, but I don't let the ribs come on, right? I let it out and keep the
You
ribs
can
on.
breathe out, but you're not losing any pressure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me, like, every time I restart my breathing once I unrack it, and then I go back to trying to find it again.
So that's an important thing is once you're under the bar, there's not really, you can breathe, and as you become more practiced in the bracing, you'll be able to breathe through the brace. Like if I'm to set my position here and hold this, like I'm still breathing here and even,
Just like
but I'm not relaxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like from the ground, once you set the position, you don't lose that until you're done with the thing, right?
Yeah.
So same with set.
So put a little tension in the bar, set the position with a forceful exhale.
Stay brace. Toes down, set your hips. Like.
Good. So you're definitely losing some of that tension during the walkout.
Yeah.
You can even hear like, as you're walking out.
Yeah.
So I definitely keep any like breathing in, breathing out for the static position. So get under there, get as tight as possible. Unrack, walk it out. Once your feet are set, you have to be very, very deliberate about taking your air in. Like it can't just be this little.
Yeah, I feel like I can't go. I went,
Yeah.
and then I was like, there's no, I can't possibly fill up anymore.
Yeah, and the 90-90 breathing drills have to be the base of that because that's sort of the lowest threshold, lowest stress environment for it. And you got to be able to practice it and do it right there to be able to do it right with a bunch of weight on your back.
Yeah, I'm about to pass out. I got lightheaded over shit.
You're fit. You're a CrossFitter. If I can hold my breath long enough to do the squats, you gotta have better.
I got some work to do thickness wise.
Yeah.
As you do the drill more, like 2 or 3 sessions into it, you'll start feeling way more endurance for holding the breath. Yeah, it comes around fast.
And you can intensify that 90-90 breathing drill once you're just good at doing it regular and you feel very, full breaths, inhale and exhale, and a really hard brace. You could start doing stuff like just pushing down with your hands hard on your abs. Like that's why I was trying to give you some resistance there. You can even hold a plate above you, and that's gonna the weight of that is going to cause you to have to brace harder, and that'll be a benefit to the drill as well. So we've identified the technique problems. And pretty simple thing: foot pressure. That pressure on the big toe before you descend is going to help you squat straight down rather than back. It's going to help keep your knee more forward out of the hole, and that's going to allow you to use your quads better. Any change of torso angle beyond that is going to start to get fixed by the breathing and the bracing. So we kind of put those two together. You're going to be able to stay in your quads coming out of the hole, and that's just the joint angle of that, of like below parallel to the first few inches above parallel. The quads are really well suited to move the weight there. The hamstrings, the low back, and the hips and glutes are important to the squat, but not great in that position. So we got to get you to the position where they can be used more effectively. And to do that, we need to train your legs in absence of training your back. Because if your back is already stronger than your legs, if you're to do a bunch of squats that look, like this and keep shifting, whether it's back squat, high bar, low bar, front squat, we can front squat and do the same move all the time, your back and hamstrings are just going to continue to be relatively stronger. Your squat may go up with that, but not at the same rate that we'd want it to. So we need to look at training your legs in absence of your back. And because you're doing weightlifting movements as well, the front squat kind of has to be done. Yeah. For people who are just powerlifters, the front squat, if their back tends to take over a lot, is not a great option for them to develop their quads. Also, their positions might just be really bad during it. But you've got a front squat because you're gonna clean. So let's start working on that, and kind of just cue you the same way through to make the front squat as an effective quad builder for you as it can be. So what's a good here?
I think I was always just taught like butt back right since you started CrossFit.
Yeah.
And so then I this is just how I air squat didn't matter. And now my thruster is like I can thrust 115 and they go like this. And I'm like, oh fuck, and I get stuck here.
Yeah.
Set up, brace, then get under the bar. There you go. Yes. Good. Push your big toe down. So bring your body weight forward on the toe. There you go. Good. Good. One more. Anticipate the bottom. Be ready to push the foot right off the floor. Right at the floor. There you go. Good. Very good. The position you're in is solid. The one thing you want to make sure at the very bottom, and this is kind of one of those things where it's not the technique, but maybe for you, anticipate stopping a little bit higher and holding the pressure on your legs better. If you hit the bottom and you kind of bounce, not saying that bouncing is bad or getting a rebound is bad, but if you hit the bottom and you bounce, you lose position because you just kind of relax. Yeah. Think about sitting and then standing rather than dropping and rebounding, right?
So the same thing I set.
Exact same movement.
I'm here.
Set everything. Your hips are not going to really be back at all. So you tense your butt. Yeah, you squeeze your glutes like we talked about. Brace. Put your toe down, and then bend to the knee and just descend down. As you go down, the goal is to try and get your knees out and forward a little bit until you get to the bottom, and then push from there, right?
Yeah, for me, the only thing that like really jumped out with your front squatting technique is so much of the stuff about front squat, high bar, low bar. The lower body mechanics are not hugely different from one to the other. And I think people treat them as like these totally different exercises, and they're not. They're just squat patterns with the bar in a different place. Is that you're kind of leaving your hip back at the start and maybe leading with the hip a little bit. And if there is any difference, front squatting and back squatting I think that will cue people a lot more for this knees first in the front squat, because once you've found this good torso angle and really put your hip underneath you before you descend, then you can sit straight down from there. And to sit straight down, if I lead with my hip, if I lead with my knee, I've kept an upright torso right at the start. Because as soon as this happens, I mean, how are you going to recover that angle?
One thing that I think is kind of people get like kind of weird about knees first is they think it's going to like hurt. Or if you like just dump everything to the knee and fall forward, it's not good. But when you start any movement, you just want to start smoothly.
Yeah. So
you set everything up, tense your quads a little. Everything is tense. Then slowly unlock and then follow the movement down and come back up. Right.
Yeah, I think the other day you're like keep your hips under just keep your hips tucked under, and I was like, oh, okay, that's weird because I was always like send them back. So I started trying to like all right, if my hips stayed where I started, and then I tried squatting like this, and I was like, oh shit, I can't even like stand up from there because it wasn't letting me go back. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense. In my head, I can see a straight line now instead of this.
So set your foot, toe down, set your hips, smooth descent. Knees first, keep them forward. There you go. Really good. Right out of the hole.
Fight to keep the knee forward. Yep. As long as you can.
Keep it over the foot. Up. Yeah. Much better. See it. Good. Knees up. Push. Yeah. Oh, your best set. That's what you're looking for.
All right, so the next exercise we're going to show you, and this will be a really good one for Jackie, is the belt squat. And you've probably heard us talk a ton about this in other videos and podcasts and all that stuff. But the belt squat's a really great exercise to develop the quads. And so if you fall into the strong back, weak leg category, which of course we talked about in this video, we also have another video called Assessing Leg Strength. Assessing leg versus back strength in the squat, I think is the title of it. And it's 20 minutes on just this one concept. So go ahead and check that out. But our favorite exercise for the people who are in the strong back, weak leg category is the belt squat, because it's going to, even though the front squat is a more quad emphasized squatting movement, the back is still supporting the weight and the back can still act on the weight to move it. Where in the belt squat, it's legs or nothing. So we'll set that up for Jackie, show you some of the sort of finer points of belt squatting and help you get your legs strong. All right, so now we're going to talk about the belt squat. A lot of different ways to do this. If you do not have the luxury of a belt squat machine, pitch shark type of thing, and some of those are, I think, better than others and designed a bit better than others for our purposes with them, which again are building the quads. I think some of them are a bit more intended to develop hip and glute strength. But when looking to develop the quads, this is an affordable and effective way to do it. So you just need some blocks. Technique blocks for weightlifting, jerk blocks are great. Loading pin from Rogue, it was like $50 maybe. And the belt, we have this one from Spud Inc. Iron Mind makes a good one. A lot of different places to get it. So Jackie's up there and go ahead and hook yourself in.
So straddle that way. Yeah, there you go.
When you're doing this, you want to make sure the weight is as low. Put the weight back down for a second. That the belt is hanging as low on your hip as possible. Yeah. We want to see that straight up and down movement, pressure staying, pretty far forward in the foot, and just to feel tension in the quad the whole time.
One of the some of the bigger benefits of doing it in this way is that, or doing belt squats at all really, is that you can kind of exaggerate the technique a little bit. You can stay upright. You can let your knee come forward a little more. You can push the toe down a little more. You're never going to have as much weight on a belt squat as you do on a back squat. There's no pressure on your low back, so there's no actual compressive forces on there. There's not a lot to worry about in terms of being a little bit more exaggerated in the technique of having everything be on your quads.
And those things that Max is talking about too, of the less compressive forces or no compressive forces on the back, is another reason why this can be trained for such high volumes. So we'll just have Jackie maybe do like, 30 to 50, I'd say. Yeah, you can go ahead and relax, Jackie. Like you put away that block if you want.
One thing I will say about the actual setup, when you're actually doing it, if you're in a gym and you're doing it by yourself, just set up with a pole or something in front you can put your hands around if you are going to fall backward.
Yeah, one side of the power rack.
Once it goes, there's nowhere to go from there.
Yeah.
But just from a safety perspective, put something in front of you so you can hold on to it.
So how those feel to you?
I can feel it. My quads have to stand up. I can't really get away with it.
Yeah, the only other things I'd say to consider, like including in a program for someone in a situation like Jackie, is farther away from competition or in more general training blocks, so hypertrophy training. Unilateral work can be a beneficial thing there. So split squats, lunges, step ups, those are all going to be much more emphasis on the quad. Exercises that the back can't really take over much in. If you're training at a commercial gym or have access to leg press, hack squat, like those are very underutilized exercises in the development of the squat. There's so much sort of rallying against like, oh, machine training is not functional or whatever. If the goal is making your legs stronger, lifting a bunch of weight with just your legs is a really good way to do that. So don't be afraid to use those type of exercises in conjunction with training the squat and developing your technique in that. But the way that we do it, farther away from meets for powerlifters, where the squat is the sport, we're doing more general training. So high bar squatting, front squatting, belt squat, leg press. And then as we transition closer to competition, doing more of the competitive exercise, which may be low bar squatting. But in Jackie's case, where CrossFit stuff is the goal, really just high bar squatting and front squatting should be utilized. Pauses and different things like that are fine as well, but the low bar squat is going to have too much technical disruption in our weightlifting movements, but that's sort of a discussion for another day. All right, so this was another episode of Squat School. Jackie, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully this will help you out as you're trying to build those quads up. And you probably already follow Jackie585 on Instagram and all that stuff. It's Max_Ada. And I'm Chad Wesley Smith, and thanks for watching. If you like the video, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and check out all other stuff, Jug Life Podcast and all those good things. So this was Squat School, and we'll see you next time. Get expert program design, video analysis, and guidance for powerlifting and weightlifting, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced athlete through Team Juggernaut's online coaching. Click Learn More to sign up.